Ladies and gents, welcome to Next Level Radio. I am your host, Colby Wortman, and our mission is to tackle the biggest questions in strength and conditioning, business, investing, and everything in between. We bring to you the best people in every sector so that you, the listener, can benefit and learn from the best in the biz. Whether that is S&C or business, you can rest assured you're getting the best knowledge available. Having trained athletes for many, many years, we have tried every treadmill known to man. You name it, we've tried it. With these treadmills, there's always been a disconnect, something missing for our athletic performance, something that just does not correlate to athletic success on the field until we tried our TRUEFORM runners. TRUEFORM for over 10 years has been elevating the performance of pro athletes, college athletes, recreational runners, and everyday athletes alike. You can check out TRUEFORM treadmills at trueformrunner.com, and we thank TRUEFORM for being an exclusive sponsor of Next Level Radio. All right, it's time we all grow up a little bit. Ditch the pre-workout. It's not 2007 anymore, and it's nothing like Jacked 3D. Ditch the shaker. You're not 4 years old, and you don't need a bottle anymore. And get yourself the best dippable pre-workout on the market. Each pouch is patriotically packed with 300 milligrams of caffeine and vitamins because shaker bottles suck. Send It SUPPS is the on-the-go solution for athletes, LEOs, firefighters, door kickers, and everybody in between. Head over to senditsupps.com to get the best dippable pre-workout on the market, and we thank Send It SUPPS for being a sponsor of Next Level Radio. Next Level Radio continues to grow because of our listeners and our sponsors. Today we present to you Fat Fish Brewing, the official beer of Next Level Radio. Whether you're looking for a night out with family or smashing the best craft beers in the area, you will find it all at Fat Fish Brewing. Check out Fat Fish on the Large Street in Dickinson, or check them out on their website at fatfishbrewing.com. Life has an amazing way of coming full circle and bringing to you the people that you need in your life at that time. As a young whippersnapper, 4 monsters deep, just excited to tackle the day, I'm headed to my first strength and conditioning conference, and I hear about a company called TEAMBUILDR. Multiple coaches with experience with TEAMBUILDR and other platforms said the exact same thing. They said that you can get very similar products across different platforms. However, the thing that truly sets aside TEAMBUILDR and puts their product above anybody else's is their true and genuine customer service. As a customer for many years, both at the university setting and the private facility, I can tell you, TEAMBUILDR's customer service is absolutely second to none. Late night emails, programming issues, emergencies on my end are all resolved very, very quickly. So join the thousands of universities and private facilities that use TEAMBUILDR to elevate their businesses by going to teambuilder.com, click Start My Free Trial, and use code NLT at checkout. Our next sponsor, Nutridyne, a medical supplement company aimed at enhancing performance and addressing the underlying issues of disease. You will be hard-pressed to find the quality that you'll find at Nutridyne. Listeners of this podcast get 20% off all supplements. Just go to @coach_Wortman and click the Nutridyne link in our bio. Keep up with us on Instagram @coach_Wortman, on our website, nl-training.com, or keep up with us on the next episode of Next Level Radio. Now sit back, relax, and take in the mind-melting knowledge of this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the best podcast in everything business, life, recovery, strength and conditioning, everything in between. We have been putting out podcast episodes since early when did COVID happen again?
2020.
Since 2020, and we're just coming at 110 episodes in, and we're not slowing down now. And so welcome to Next Level Radio. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you to all of our sponsors. One new one, TRUEFORM TREADMILLS that we just ended up acquiring. Great friends over there, Zach Nagel, and they're doing amazing things in the long distance running, sprinting, athletic realm, and non-athletic realm. So you guys can check those guys out. But today we have a repeat offender. The one and only Taylor Kraenzel. He has been on our podcast a couple times, and since the last time, it seems like every time we have a podcast together, there's so much that's happened in between. And honestly, this is probably the biggest one that's stuff has happened in between, both on you personally and then you and I together, and kind of what we're going to be able to create and go forth. So for people that didn't listen to the previous episode, just introduce yourself and give them a little bit of a rundown, brother.
Yeah, so my name is Taylor Kraenzel. Born and raised in Dickinson, North Dakota. Met Colby back in 2020-ish. And the first couple episodes, you probably saw me on the podcast because we kind of launched this thing together. Moved away for about a year and 2 months to Minnesota. Got really heavy into real estate when COVID happened. All that jazz. Now we're kind of going all in on business, real estate, investing, everything. Yep. So putting it all together every year, we take another step further, it feels like.
And I feel like since the last time we talked to, I don't know, you have really, really put your feet to the fire and like gone big on, let's just talk about vision right now, the sign portion. And I mean, you've revamped it. You've probably, I don't know your financials and all that stuff, but from the outside looking in, you probably had one of the best years, half years that you guys have ever had in the history of the business.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, my grandpa back in 1966 started a sign company. Been 56, 57 years-ish. And he just went all in on the sign industry. Most people don't know, but he actually was working for a sign company previous to that. Word got out that he was thinking about starting his own, and he got canned on the spot.
Oh, no.
So he had to become an entrepreneur real fast. I grew up knowing my grandpa for 11-ish years. He passed away in 2005. He was like my best friend. So I picked up a lot of that entrepreneur spirit from him. So everything I do has kind of been to honor his legacy. And so this last year, we had the opportunity to actually buy the business, bought out a few family members in the process, and decided to revamp the business and rename it, rebrand. And the reason we did that, there's multiple reasons, but the big one was we wanted to make this company something that could go like national, something that didn't have to be just a localized business. And we wanted a name and a brand that we could, we believed in. And so kind of long story short, my dad had a LLC already open called Provision Scene LLC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he started this LLC 3 years ago. He wanted to really get into investing in other people's startups, into real estate, different things like that. And, you know, that's where kind of the name Provision started. So we took like 3 months to try to figure out a name when we knew this process was going on. And finally, we just landed on Vision, except we spelt it with a Z.
Yeah.
And so the reason we did that is our business is located on a hill. And we wanted Zion in the name because Zion was a hill in the Bible. Yep. That was God's like anointed city.
Wow.
So it was like a city on a hill. But,
and that was your dad's dad.
Yep.
Dad's dad.
Yep.
Okay.
So Keith. Yep.
Awesome.
He's a legend. We also thought like we want to honor his vision because when he passed away, things did go a little bit different direction. They were just trying to keep up. It was never like getting back to the roots of what his vision was. Mm-hmm. If you ask anyone, like when we went to his funeral when I was 11, it was a packed house, standing room only, people standing on the street or like trying to get in.
Yeah. And
we wanted to just carry on his legacy. He was one of the greatest humans I know, so that's why we wanted to honor him that way. So even cool. Though we changed the name.
That's
and I
so
think
cool.
He would still be proud of what we're doing. So
I think he is very proud of what all you guys have done. I mean, just dipping your feet in so many different things and like expanding it from the foundation of what was his vision and then just building on top of that.
Exactly.
You talk about Zion and being on top of the hill and all this stuff. And
yeah.
I was doing some Bible readings with Gus the other day, and then we were just kind of going through honestly, it's kind of like religious news as of recent. And I don't know if you've heard about this, but in the recent couple years, they found what they believe and they actually know to be the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about this. This is really cool. One of the explorers back in the day found it, but then the Israeli government has just come out and said, we have it. Like
No way.
we actually have it. And for people that don't know what the Ark of the Covenant is, you can think of it as like a big treasure box almost, and it holds the 10 Commandments. Well, when they would crucify somebody, they would bury the stake, they would bury the cross, and then there was what you can think of as like a channel for the blood to collect. And this blood would collect, and it would go through a pretty extensive channel, and then on this one where they found it, there was dried blood on the top of the covenant. And yeah, this is real thing. This just happened a while back. And so this explorer found it, and he tested the blood, everything, and it came back with one set of DNA. And I was asking my athletes, I was telling them about it. I was like, why would it come back with one set of DNA? And they're like, well, he only had one true parent, and that would be the Virgin Mary. So,
Wow.
yeah,
That's insane.
Yeah. So they found the Ark of the Covenant. They found exactly the exact precise point where Jesus was crucified. And so they have now blocked it off, put iron gates around it and all this stuff. And people truly like look back and they think about Jesus as this bigger than life person, but they think of him as just a story almost. Yeah. But this really like can help people grasp like he was a true person that came as a man to our world to save our lives. Exactly. And it's, I don't know, for people that have to see to believe, this is as close as you're going to get.
That's what you're going to get.
Yeah, this is what you're going to get until he blesses us with his presence again.
100%.
You know,
and that's awesome.
It was crazy. It's I mean the blood was still on the Ark of the Covenant. It's there. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. It's pretty crazy.
No, I think that's more so as we get more technology and everything. I think things are just going to keep getting proven true and true.
Yep.
So I'm pumped for that.
Yeah, man. I think it's really cool to have pieces of that puzzle in your business too, wrapping that kind of into your business. And what has been, it's a twofold question, but what has been the biggest growing pains for you guys as of recent in the last, call it a year, 365 days, and what have you guys been expanding into?
Okay. So, there's a lot of growing pains. Anytime you try to launch a business, even though we hadn't established business before, we threw a lot of the previous mentality and everything that came with it out the window. So we started with a blank slate in November of 2022. We kind of count our launch date as actually January just because those first 2 months we were trying to scramble to get everything set up because we didn't know if the purchase and everything was going to go through until like it was pretty last minute. Mm-hmm. So I would say the biggest growing pains we've had is trying to run a business while also like changing the business. Yeah. So we've been trying to change everything from workflow. We hired an employee right away. She's been amazing. Her name's Sarah. And when I say we, I should touch on that. It's Josh Reed, who's a DSU alum, my dad, and then myself. We're three partners in the business. Josh Reed came on last April, right around this time. He had to work through a lot of crap to stay with us and, put up with a lot of things dragging out. So I commend him for that. There was times where even my wife was involved for a bit, but we were all, ready to walk and just go our separate ways. We were just ready to call it quits, and we just held on. And so the biggest growing pain before we even took over the business was just getting to the purchase. Yeah. The biggest growing pain since has really been trying to enhance the business and change it in a direction we want while still maintaining, profitability and keeping things moving forward. So,
how was it? Because your grandfather owned it. Your father purchased it from your grandfather, or he was already in it?
So my dad didn't gain ownership until this past November. My grandma maintained ownership of it. Oh. And so what was supposed to happen was my uncle and my dad we're supposed to go 50-50 in the business. I'm not going to get deep into it because we don't want to get into family issues and things like that. But there was some definite different views. I'll say that much. I think everyone ended up winning in the end. I think everyone ended up getting kind of what they want.
Yeah. Because because your dad had always been involved in the business, correct?
Yeah. Yep. He's always been involved. I mean, since he was a kid. My dad, and I will say this about my uncle too. My uncle carried a lot of the manufacturing parts of the business. So it was, both of them. But the last few years, definitely, my dad was like kind of more so interested in taking it over.
Yeah. So how has that been doing business with your father, one, and like having, cause your dad's what, upper 40s, mid 50s?
Yeah, he's 56. So
mid 50s.
So funny story, the business was actually minted. The original business was minted on his birth date.
Oh, okay.
It's crazy. Wow. I don't know how that happened.
So like, how has that been, having your dad's very experienced veteran views, and then having your experience more with technology, more with where we're going in this world today, like how have you been able to mix father, son, and having a little bit different perspectives a little bit?
Yeah. So to be honest with you, I would say my dad and I have a better relationship than we've ever had.
That's
but
cool.
I think it took me leaving the business the first time to really expand my own mind towards things and understand business, do real estate on my own.
Mental maturity.
All that. Mm-hmm. If I would have taken over the business, 3 years ago, there's no way I would be able to do what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. I would have ran the business into the ground if I'm being honest. Just wasn't ready.
I've seen a crazy huge change in you. Like this is me personally looking on from the outside in. Like I've seen a huge different change to where like there's this sense of accountability. There's this sense of accomplishment. There's this sense of passion. There's a sense of really pushing forward. And we'll get into kind of our venture here in a little bit. But like just from our conversations from that, I can see looking how you've implemented that into Vision Signs. It's been a huge change from right when you got back, we did a podcast, or right when you got back from Minnesota, we did a podcast. And so
about a year ago today, around that date.
Yeah. And so like from that date, it's been 180. So that I commend you for that. It's really freaking cool to see, man.
Yeah. And honestly, a year ago, even I didn't know near what I know now, which is a good thing. You always want to be growing, but even a year ago, it took a lot of those growing pains and understanding family dynamics and understanding how a business even gets turned over to actually get to where we are now. So really how we kind of combine the old mindset of like my dad knows so much about the industry, but the tech side is lacking. And I have less knowledge about the industry, but I have a lot of knowledge with tech and with social media and things. We've definitely butted heads on a few things, but he's so chill that he's with Josh and I.
That's the vibe I've got from him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's very laid back, for the most part. And he lets us kind of run the show. And he's, he looks at himself as an investor and he's like, I'm here on the roller coaster with you guys.
Yeah.
I'm here
he's
for
a
the
mentor
ride.
On the thing.
And we established his role from day one when we took it over. And he asked us, what do you want of me? And we said, we want a mentor. We don't want someone busting their butt every day. Mm-hmm. He worked his ass off. And so I commend him for the last 50 some years, but we want him as a mentor now. Mm-hmm. We don't want him grinding it out every day.
Yeah.
So he's been such a good help with growing the business because of his knowledge. Mm-hmm. And then he's given Josh and I the reins to really enhance the business, which is, I guess, the biggest growing pain now is finding out how to enhance the business while not hiring yet, because we're kind of at a point where we need to hire, but we have some summer help coming. And so we're trying to see what we can take on and when we need to make hires, things like that.
It's a hard, I asked you this, I've asked it of myself. Like size wise, you and I have a very similar size business compared to the person that I was asking this. I asked two guys that are multimillionaires that I had on this podcast. And one's in real estate and one's in construction. And every single business owner I ask like what's a big growing pain? And it all comes down to either hiring employees and trying to run it so effectively that when you get to the point of hiring, you have to hire.
Yeah.
You know, like being so efficient that when you hire, like you're at wit's end.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to, you're taking on so much that you have to do it. And so it's a really cool concept to see that you guys have been able to do. And it sounds like your summer's going to be super busy on the signage side.
Yeah.
So a lot going on.
Yeah. I mean, the things we've ventured into, not only signage, but we're just getting into so many different things that we have one of the busiest summers planned probably on record. You know, and I don't want to get into numbers too much, but like you touched on earlier, like last year when we came into the business was not very profitable towards the end. It was one of those businesses.
Staying alive.
It was staying alive. And that's for my dad and his brother and my grandma and, you know, just having a cousin in the mix. And like, it wasn't really a business that they were trying to grow. It was more so just, you know,
maintaining.
They were, breaking even. And I have to say that they were so profitable, like in the 2012, 2013 range. We had 7 or 8 employees. So like the business has been profitable on record for most of the years.
Yeah.
But last year, you know, I think 1,000x'd it or something crazy. Like it was an insane number and that goes from breaking even. So it's not like a huge number, but it was
amazing.
Once you see it on paper, 1,000x, you're like, that's a pretty good year.
Yeah, it's a very good year, and you just keep that snowball rolling is the big thing. Like you're getting into so many different avenues that it can go countrywide. Like it doesn't have to be just here. That's something I found in my personal business. I hired a business coach and was like, I have same with Keith Signs before it's Vision.
Yeah,
everybody knows them in the community, but it's almost like you've tapped out the community almost.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like you've got to a point where if somebody needs a sign, there's maybe 2 alternatives, you know, like there's you guys and 2 alternatives. And it's like, I'm going to go to these guys. Well, we need to open up this marketplace a little bit. And it's 2023. We can do so much now.
Yeah.
It's just learning how to do it. And so I did the same thing, offering all online services. And it's a whole different ball game, and it's really cool to see that you guys have been able to do that and really just grow out of what was this legacy company that you guys had. You know, it's really cool.
Yeah, that's been something. You know, we wanted to take what my grandpa started, and I didn't want to see it go backwards. I didn't want to see it end. You know, there's a lot of, I guess you could say, pride in having this business as a part of the family. And so I wanted to leave a legacy with it and carry on the legacy. The only thing is we just want to expand it beyond this Dickinson. And that's something my grandpa had actually thought about before. You know, I think
it was probably more in the traditional sense with him, though, like probably like
brick and
franchise.
Mortar.
Yeah, brick and mortar franchise this out in Bowman and, you know, kind of stuff like that.
And it does make me wonder, like, if he would have stayed alive, you know, to see the technology implemented, what his brain would have done, because you know, he was such a creative mind, and he loved business. It was just, he started it because he was a creative and then learned business as he went. I just wonder if he would have been able to expand once technology hit, or if it would have been like, help, I don't know what to do.
Exactly. So, and I don't know, you're an I generation, because how old are you right now?
28.
Yeah, I turned 29 in 2 days. So
it's a couple weeks away.
There you go. Our generation was the last generation that didn't grow up with technology connected to us.
Yeah.
But it's been such a cool generation. And I think everybody's like, oh, I wish I was born in the 80s. I was like, I like where I was. Like, we were riding bikes. We were doing all these crazy different things. But then we've been immersed in technology. And so we've been able to adapt and overcome and learn it very, very well. Yes. And I think it's a good mix, because we can talk to people, we have communication with people, we do all these things that we built when we were younger, the morals, the virtues, but now, like, we can really build on how technology can really do big things for us. You and I mean, the biggest thing since sliced bread in the last 6 months has been artificial intelligence. And
ChatGPT.
yeah, you and me have been talking and bouncing, and I have a perpetual on my laptop here. ChatGPT is open at all times.
Yeah, I got it on my phone right now.
Yes.
I use it almost daily.
I know, man. And I think people that aren't, I know it's scary. Yeah. I know it's super scary.
The world could end because of it, but
it could. Honestly, Auto GPT just came out. I don't know if you heard a little bit about that.
About all this stuff,
yeah. Auto GPT, you pretty much give this agent a task, and then it takes off and does 10, 20, 30, 40 different steps to get to the end task.
Yeah.
And I was listening to, if you don't listen to them, I would recommend it. But the All In podcast.
Okay.
They're venture capitalist investors. They're all 4 best friends. They're nerds. Yeah. They were early investors in like Facebook, Sequoia Capital. There's another big one, like Reddit, and all these big crazy companies, Uber. And they were talking about there's good people and there's bad people in the world. And so with Auto GPT, you give it these tasks. So let's take a positive example. Okay. Taylor and his wife want to take a vacation. So I need Auto GPT to make me an itinerary because I want to travel to Venezuela, and that includes hotels, vacation destinations, food, everything. Boom, it makes it, but it goes on 50 different steps, books it, and does everything for you. Then we look at the negative side, and they brought this up on the All On podcast. How can I take down the United States power grid? Boom. Here's your itinerary, go. See, that's the, and like there's this, it's so scary, but I feel like if this is Facebook in the early 2000s, but bigger. And if we don't utilize it for good, I think we're going to be behind the ball.
I think so too. It's a resource, and everything from Facebook to Snapchat to anything that's come out, the internet has been used for good and bad. Mm-hmm. There'll be regulations coming out. They'll have to add something. It's inevitable. Mm-hmm. But if we don't learn this technology, we're going to be behind.
Yep.
And it's saved my workflow so much, especially for posting on social media.
Yes, content.
Writing up listing write-ups.
I've been seeing that.
I put in a script of what I'm looking for or an idea, and they write me the full.
And then you can edit from that and kind of pick and choose, because it's always that idea generation that takes the most time.
Yeah.
Like what's the bare bones? But if you can have the bare bones and then edit off of that, it cuts your workflow by 5 times,
Yeah. And not to get too like nerdy on this stuff, but like we're adding it to even our design now. So Josh is a big Adobe user, so am I. But he's our main designer, and he's actually doing a beta tested program where Adobe's integrating AI, which is funny because AI is Adobe Illustrator as well. But they're integrating it to where you can take like a design you have, and what we're believing it's going to be is you could say, change this design to make it look more grungy or like,
a different theme.
Yeah, a different theme. And they'll take the same design, change your color scheme in a matter of seconds.
That's crazy.
Or change a snowmobile design and make it for a dirt bike. A snowmobile wrap. So we're kind of getting excited about this. It's saving our workflow. It's not taking away the creativity in my mind, because we still have to generate the design, the idea, all that.
Which gives you guys your flavor on it,
exactly.
And then you can kind of take it from there.
Exactly.
This is something, this is a beta test too that I've been a part of. And it's on the Microsoft side, and it's still super rough around the edges, but it's called Microsoft Designer. Okay. I'll show you this. I'll type this in real quick. So create a portrait of 2 men in a podcast studio.
No freaking way.
And from that, it's going to create a image. So we go here and enter, and it's going to create from that. And then I can be very specific. I need color schemes. I need this, that, and the other. And then it's just going to give you your basic outline of that. And it's fairly quick once it gets once you start pumping in there. But I mean,
No
you've
way.
you've got all these right on the tip of your finger, which is really, really cool to see.
Yeah.
I mean, there's hundreds of ideas right here, so
love
you can
it.
really, and then you put in like your colors, your themes.
Yeah.
You can even add images, just like you were talking.
Yep.
Add an image and base it off of this image.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's getting crazy, man.
It is, and you have to stay up with it. It sucks how fast technology moves sometimes.
It does,
because you feel behind the ball at all times. But it's if you stay up with the latest stuff, you're gonna be ahead of the game, because not many people are doing it. Most people are spinning their tires, and then they see something like this and they're like, well, the stuff I learned 5 years ago is treating me well so far.
Exactly.
But they don't understand the magnitude of learning the technology.
Yeah. And well, you just did it a week or so ago. About a month ago, I went and spoke to some students at Dickinson High School.
Yeah.
And where was you? Were in New England?
New England, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
I went and spoke to them about business, everything about college. And I actually had a talk with the teacher afterwards, because I didn't tell them not to go to college. I didn't tell them not to do that. I said, if you think you know what you want to do and it includes college, do it.
Yeah.
Like nursing, lawyer, doctor.
Exactly.
But I told him, I said, if you feel pressured and you don't know what you want to do, don't go.
Yeah.
Don't go right away.
Don't go just because your parents are telling you, or because you feel like it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. It's very behind.
Yeah.
The education system is super behind, and all the twofold thing. I was telling them about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And they were like, what is he talking about? And all these high schoolers had no idea what ChatGPT was. And so I think that will evolve, because they're going to write their essays. They're going to do all that stuff.
I've already showed some kids at New England it, and
because you can type in
some essays written.
Bang, bang, done, and then this is kind of mine and yours perspective about business and the implementation of artificial intelligence into our business. And then there's this whole other education side, because I'm a professor at the university as well.
Okay.
And I teach some business classes, and they sent out a mass email to all the professors and all the faculty that it was a required training that they had to take for them to stop ChatGPT at the college.
Oh.
And it was this whole training that the state of North Dakota put together, showing these are the websites that you use to see if they use ChatGPT.
No way.
This is all these different things and things that we have to do so it can't be used. And I think that's the wrong mentality. I really do. I think it's the wrong mentality. I think we can still have the creative process and we can still learn, but if you completely try to abolish something, it's not going to work.
No.
They're going to push towards it,
Exactly.
I don't know the answer,
but
but 100%.
And honestly, shouldn't college be teaching you how to utilize
Technology?
the latest technology,
I know.
things like that? I know it's typically behind, but man, if college focused on that instead of just building 9-to-5 workers all the time,
I know.
I mean, that's what it is. Trying to make robots, I feel like.
Even I'm teaching master's level business.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. You're still making 9-to-5 workers. You're still doing this, and it's sad, because I was super happy that I've been able to run a business with my partners and just love it and do great. And to give them that perspective on the education side, I hope that I sparked one kid's interest of like, hey, maybe this MBA, I can get this MBA and then I can actually go start a business, because right now the education system is full of people that that don't know what they're doing in business. They've never ran a business. And maybe some of the finance stuff will help you in business. But other than that, I was teaching a marketing class, and the marketing class was still talking about newspaper marketing.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is not right. Like you're going into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to learn about newspaper marketing. It's not right. It's not right.
No, it's not right at all, because that's, all those technologies are, 10 years past their prime or more.
Or more.
And honestly, you're right. If you are teaching a business class, you probably should have ran a business at some time in your life. Mm-hmm. We say it all the time. Ashley and I talk about it all the time. It's like, to run a business, it's a whole different dynamic than just teaching someone to do it. You actually have to go out and put your feet to the fire, understand how to make payroll when things are tight, when things are starting out. And just understanding all those dynamics. And if you haven't done it, it's hard to teach someone to do it.
I think the best way to learn business is the way that you and I did it.
Yeah.
I have an idea. I have a passion. How can I create income? And go.
And like, here's something that I've touched on in a recent post, but like, how many businesses have you tried to start and they failed? Because I've done a multiple as well. And
we're still young.
Yeah. And people don't see that business is a whole lot of wins, but a whole lot of losses as well.
Yep.
And I use the analogy of the losses are a mountain, but you decide to climb it instead of get buried under it.
Yes, seriously. Seriously.
And then you start stacking up wins, and then the wins start rolling, and there's less and less losses.
Yep.
But business forever and always will be a whole bunch of wins and a whole bunch of losses, and you just have to learn how to get through those tough times.
Yep. Two of mine, I tried to do coffee roasting.
Yep.
It was one that I failed at. And then also 4 or 5 years ago, it was right when Discord came out.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the messaging Discord came out. It might have been 3 years ago. And I tried to start through Zapier because the automatic zaps. I tried to start a online community of people that just wanted daily motivation, daily workouts, daily all this. And it went good. And I think I was profitable by month 2. It was a good product. It worked. But the workflow was way too much and I had too much on my plate.
Yeah.
And so what I learned is like, I have to hyper focus on 2 to 3 things.
Yep.
I have to. Alex Ramosi talks about it. He's like, if you can hyper focus on 2 things, he's like, it is incredible to think that you can have 9 businesses, splitting your attention 9 times and have 9 successful businesses when Joe Blow is focusing on 2 that is in the same sector and with all of his time. Yeah. It's math.
It is.
And so I failed twice, and I failed at a lot of other things too, but business-wise, I failed twice. Yeah. I was doing my master's, I was running this business, I was doing the podcast, and I was trying to roast coffee, and I was averaging 20 to 50 bags of coffee a week, which for me was a lot.
Yep.
And the time I ran into a wall, I try to pride myself at being able to push through tough times and like pin myself in a corner.
Yeah.
This was a corner I couldn't get out of. And so something had to go, but that's what's brought us to here.
Exactly. And that's the truth. And the thing I admire most about you is you're not going to care whether you lose. Next day, you'll be trying something new. You'll be doing something again. And that's what I commend you for, because there's not a lot of people that can do that.
No.
They get crushed and then it takes a year, 2, 3 years to recover. They might never try starting a business again. Ever. Because the 9 to 5 looks real comfortable when you're in the negative.
And easy. And I've had those times too, man, where I'm like, oh, should I just go get an oil field job? I would make the same or maybe a little bit more money than I am in my business because I'm not putting it towards a business. I'm not taking a ton of money out of my business.
Yeah.
I could go do that. When I get off work, I'm done with work.
Yeah. Instead
of I have to make content, I have to do this. But there's such joy and passion behind making content and doing all this stuff, it's really, really a great, I don't know. I enjoy it to where I could work all day long and not feel like I'm working.
Feel the same way.
It's a cool feeling to have. And I hope everybody can get to that point where it's work doesn't feel like work. And it's so cliche, do what you love and all this stuff, but it's a true thing, man.
Yeah.
It's the real deal.
No, I get that. And it took me so long. It took me finding real estate to be able to really say, I love what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And from then on, I was flipping houses, selling real estate, making content. Everything became fun.
Yeah.
Everything I was doing, I woke up with joy. And then, you get time, you can make your schedule a little bit. And so there's times where, you're working real hard one week and the next week you have a schedule where you can go on walks during the day and things like that. So I really do love the idea of, there's 2 things I like really about being an entrepreneur. One, I like the ability to make my schedule.
Yep.
And the more I work, the more I make. And the second one, I forgot the second one.
That's okay.
That's okay. We'll skip that one.
We'll go back.
I know what it was. It's not having a cap on what you can make.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing.
Your hours, we're trying to get out of the time versus money continuum.
Yeah.
But the more we work, the more we can do up to a point in the W-2, you know, but the more we do, we can expand it to whatever we want.
Yeah.
You were talking about content and talking about all this stuff. And I think my wife was talking to me about it. And then I have an intern that's interning under me right now. He's from the college. He's wanting to do some big things. He's out of Bowman, and he's a great kid. And this kid, Brady, asked me, he said, do you ever struggle with like, posting content, or do you struggle with what people will think of the content that you put out? And I got to a point many years ago. It was probably when I I started talking about openly my addiction. Yeah. And like really just being very open and honest about it. Yeah. I got to the point, pardon my language, but that I don't give a shit what people think about me. Yeah. You know, like if it attracts them, if my stuff attracts to them, that's the people I love and that I want. If it doesn't, like, we're probably not a good fit anyways, you know? So I got to the point with content, man, very open, honest, and just vulnerable with everything, and then putting out what I feel can be very valuable to others. And when I talk about others, it's the others that resonate with it, you know? Because content, you have to get to the point that you don't care what people think, you know? Because we have one person that we care about what we think, and if we can do his will and push forward what he wants, why does it matter? You know?
And I got to that. I think sports got me to that point of, you know, having the struggles in sports and then having the successes. I just got to the point where I was like, this isn't going to be my identity. My identity is what Jesus says I am, which I'm a child of God. And, you know, my mission on earth is to bless and change as many lives as possible. And I'm not going to change lives by sitting on the sideline.
Yeah. You know, whatever vehicle you choose, that's the vehicle that to get his will done.
Exactly.
You know, if that's signage, if that's content, if that's all the above.
Yeah.
You know? It's really cool. Gus on the podcast, this just popped in my head because you said it. He was like, man, I don't care what people think. He's like, Jesus thinks I'm cool. And he's like, that's all I need. Jesus thinks I'm cool. I was like, that's so true, man. It's like, we need to reflect the mind of a child when it comes to that, you know?
100%. I think I talk about it all the time, but if you look at how children act and how much confidence they have, it's like, they don't care who's watching them. They'll dance.
Yeah.
You know, if they hear a song off of TikTok they like, they'll dance.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter who's watching.
Without thinking about it.
Yeah. They're not thinking. You know, and there's some point in our lives where we all start thinking about what everyone else is thinking about us, and we start becoming self-conscious. But it's the ones that can get past that the quickest and start remembering, like, I'm a child of God. Doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about me. Mm-hmm. I know what my mission on this earth is. I'm going to keep doing that. Yep. And everyone else, for lack of better words, can kind of get lost.
Yeah, exactly. I know you've struggled with that in the past, just like being very confident and not honest. You're always honest, but being very confident in what you want to do. And like I've said, since you got back from Minnesota till now, I've seen a whole revamp of like, you were just doing your mission, and whatever people that attracts, they can come along for the ride. You know, like exactly. I've seen a big change in you in that perspective, where like your confidence has gone to an all-time high. And it's the Dunning-Kruger effect. Like when we were younger, we thought we knew everything. And then as we progress in the industry, we realize we don't know anything. Yeah. But we're continuing to put out that mission. I've just seen a bigger sense of self-confidence in you personally. And I think business has a lot to do with that. Being rooted in faith has a lot to do with that. And so just overcoming that has been really cool to watch you do.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think there was a turning point in my life where I realized I had to do something. Seth Morkerkey was a big, influential, still is an influential person in my life. And he was hosting one of these events. I think it was at where Joy's coffee shop used to be. Okay. And he came up to me, I think it was a worship event, and he felt like God put in his heart that it's time for you to grow up, basically. It wasn't like in a derogatory or rude sense. It was just like, it's time. You have
a mission.
It's time to become a man, basically. Mm-hmm. And at first I kind of took it the wrong way, and I was like, what does that mean? Like, I feel like I am. And then once you start looking at your life and the trajectory you're going on, I was spinning my tires, and I was not in a good place where I felt like my faith, my family life, everything was just not where I wanted it to be. Financially, I wasn't where I wanted to be. And it had to be, less than a few months after that I chose to get my real estate license. And, that was the first step, and getting around people like you, Seth, being around game changers is really what got me to that point. And then the snowball effect when we moved away, just of throwing myself into an unknown place and having to figure it out.
Didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
You had no backstop.
Yeah.
You had to make it work.
And that's the turning point. And coming back, I knew that I was different, and I feel different. I feel like I get a little more pissed off, like where I feel like I'm on a mission and no one's going to stop me.
Yeah.
Before I kind of just rolled over and died.
Yeah.
But now it's more like
you're more rooted in what you want to do now, instead of, I have this trouble a lot too. But Alex Hormozy talks about it, like being in a no season because you're saying yes to what you want, like just going forward with that, you know? And it's hard sometimes, like, because we want to please people.
Yeah. And that's something every entrepreneur has to get over, is pleasing people.
Yeah.
You're not going to make it in any industry if you try to please people.
Yep.
You have to know what your mission is, and some people are not going to come along for the ride. Some people that were along for the ride early on in your career or business are not going to be along for the ride when you 10X it.
I know. It's the people, you'll never have somebody that's happy for you, like, what's the saying? Once you become successful, you're going to have people that were with you, that ditched you, that want to come back. And it's like, you just have to be true to yourself and the mission that you have. And I think that's why it's so important to be very clear, like on a smaller scale, like giving your dad his role, or him asking for his role, like being very clear about that, so you guys can just push forward as a unit.
Exactly. Because a well-oiled machine is going to run a lot better than, one with a squeaky wheel. And and that's where we're at right now with our business, is we have the right people in place to take it to the next level. And then it's about just seeing how far we can stretch ourselves before we,
have to
start hiring.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right now.
It's a cool place, man.
Yeah, and now we're adding stuff.
Yes, and I kind of wanted to get into that a little bit. So people that have followed your content, seen your content, done a lot of those things, seeing that you're getting back to your roots of real estate, and really pushing forward on that. And so I've been very blessed that you and I can go along on this journey together, and create what is going to be, I think, a very, very successful real estate venture on that side. So kind of talk about getting back into that as one of your things that you're getting into. Yeah.
So this is kind of where we first announced it, but real estate obviously has been probably the biggest game changer in my life. So in November, when we decided to take over the business and really change everything up, I knew I had to put my license on hold. And I was with the real estate co at that time. Kyle Kuntz has been a huge mentor for me in real estate, and he went through the same family business things that I went through. And so he was a huge voice of reason in my life at that time, and I just knew at the time I couldn't keep doing both. I had to pick one and really focus on getting this business set up. Little did I know that I would be getting back into real estate so fast. I thought I was going to at least take off 2 or 3 years. Like, it wasn't going to be a immediate thing. That's when you kind of came into the picture.
Random call.
A random call. And asking me what it takes to get my real estate license is what you asked. And I basically said, well, shoot, if you're getting your real estate license, we're going to team up, because I'm not going to let you get your real estate license and be out of the game now. And that's kind of how I felt, is like, I knew that if you got it, what you do content wise, what you do just business wise, we're on the same path. It's just different businesses. And so to be able to team up on something like we are, I know that it's going to be successful. I know it's going to change the game. could ruffle some feathers.
Yep.
Real estate.
Competition's always good, though.
It's going to be a better service that everyone's getting out of this. And real estate is, it's an older person's game. I think the average age is like 57 for a real estate agent. And I could be wrong.
Dickinson as a whole is probably right out or above average.
Yeah, I would say we're a little above average probably. Yeah. And so just being able to add new technology, because right now I would say 80% of the agents that are in Dickinson, they take the pictures, list the house, put it up on the MLS, and you won't find it anywhere else.
Yeah, some people will post randomly on Facebook Marketplace, and
that's that's all you're seeing. And so we decided to bring in a company that is tech driven. We've known about it, or I've known about it for about a year and a half now. It's called Real Broker LLC, and they're a company that's nationwide. North Dakota has one statewide broker. And everything they do is about putting focus on the agent first so that the agent can give the best service to the people. And so they're very, very good and generous on commissions. Probably the best commissions in the game. You start at 85%.
Yep.
And that was a huge draw. That 85% is insane.
You won't find it anywhere else.
No. And once you pay in $16,000 to the brokerage out of your transaction fees, which every transaction they'll take 15% of, once you get up to the $16,000 mark, now you keep 100% of your commission for the rest of the year.
Yep.
So, and that equates to about selling 20 houses after the 20th house. Could be a little less, could be a little more.
Exactly.
But, so that's a huge reason we brought it in. The other big reason is it allows you to create teams. And it doesn't keep your teams just locally. You can expand nationwide. And the agents that do bring on team members, there's profit sharing. When they sell a house, you're getting a kickback. The awesome thing is that Real is actually paying you. It's not coming out of their commission. It's coming out of Real side of the commission. So building teams is all they're about. And that's kind of where you and I really put our heads together. And we're like, we got to bring this.
Well, you educated me on Real, and my experience with real estate and real estate agents. Man, we've all had a good and a bad experience in real estate with agents, with lenders, with everything, and so Real is really putting their money where their mouth is. Like, we're going to take care of the agent, so the agent is the best person possible for the client.
Exactly.
For the customer. They are going to try to bring them the best product. Why we were really attracted to Real, and this is my perspective, is the technology that they bring allows a much safer, faster transaction for the person, and it's the tech is amazing, and Real has been the fastest growing in the last couple of years. It's been amazing, and so to bring something like that to a more legacy, I would consider Dickinson as like a legacy real estate market where it's like, it's a good boys club. You do what you've done, and you have your Rolodex of people that you talk to, and that's how you do it.
Yep.
This allows a lot bigger game-changing thing, and I'm sure I'll have you talk about this too, but the big thing that's going to set us apart is we are putting time, money, lots of money in effort into really giving a service to the seller and the buyer, but really giving a service to them, because we are going to put the content, put the social media side way further and way better than anything else even close to it. You know, making the videos, doing those things.
Exactly. And that's, I say this a lot, but when you're charging 5 to 6%, as an agent, are you actually doing the work that should equate to that 6%?
Yeah.
Or are you doing like
the bare minimum
2% of work and then still getting paid the same? And that's the old thing. That's the old mindset, is just throw it up on the MLS. It's going to sell. COVID allowed for that to happen because things were selling so fast with multiple offers. But what do you do when there's a downturn in the market? Because there will be at some point, and there'll be a big upswing again. It's going to ebb and flow. But when those bad years happen, it's the agents that put in the work that are going to do the most business, because someone's going to need you a lot more than just putting the house on the MLS.
Yeah.
And so that is our big sales point, is that we put our money where our mouth is. We provide professional video, which Gus Kronberg has been amazing at the video for us. It's been a game changer in what he can do.
Yeah.
We got drone licensed in our business, which if anyone didn't know, to fly drones commercially and actually have money exchanged, you have to have a Part 107 license. So Josh from my business and myself went and got our licenses.
Yep.
So we're actually going to provide the drone work, where typical agents have to find someone that can do it. We can do it right from our business. Yep. The other thing we can do is make the most amazing signage possible for our listings. So if you go up to Killdeer and you see a Vizion listing, which our name is Vizion Brokered by Real. Mm-hmm. If you see a Vizion listing, it's a coffee shop in Killdeer, you're going to see a banner on there that's fully customized to fit the vibe of that coffee shop. Designed by Josh. We have a full team working on your behalf. You don't get one agent, you get a whole team of people that are going to do the most to get your house to sell. And we're doing it because it's just freaking fun. Yeah. It's fun to do this for people. It's fun to make content, and it's going to sell your house faster. On average, professional video and photos sell it, 30% faster.
Yeah. And it's
and for more price.
Yes, you're going to get an increase in price. You're going to get all those things. But it's super, I don't know if people realize how much time and effort goes into it. But the final product is amazing.
Yeah.
And this is kudos to you, kudos to Gus, kudos to Reed, it's a whole team. And so instead of just putting a sign in your yard and trying to put it on the MLS and go, we are going to provide a whole package deal. We're going to provide everything we can under the umbrella of, hey, this is the commission that our agent gets.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing 10x the work.
Yep.
And we always talk about when something first starts out, we have to over-deliver value, over-deliver. That's going to be the new gold standard. Yeah. And people that don't do that are going to get pushed away. Yeah. And they're going to get pushed in the wash. Yeah. So it's really cool. And I think you and I having a religious background and living a faith-filled life, it was just a thought in my head that God put in my head. And I was like, who do I know that I could reach out and ask about real estate? Yeah. And I reached out to you, and I reached out to another gentleman, Austin Kuka. He's a friend of mine, and he's in Fargo. Okay. And I said, how can I do this? And it was one phone call that got us to the point that we're at today. Yeah. And it was like, okay, we got to make moves. Let's make moves and do this. And so it's, we know that it's faith-filled, and it's the path that we need to take, because it happened like that. Yeah,
it wasn't something that we had to sit on. It wasn't something that we had to check in our spirit or anything like that.
We knew.
And when Colby and I know something, we move about 100 miles an hour.
Yes, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
So, he had his classwork ready, started already a week or two later.
Yep.
I got licensed again a week or two later, went through all the ongoing education I needed, and we went for it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's where we can really cap it off, man. It's going to be the real brokerage, but it's going to be Vizion, and it's going to be the whole package deal. It's going to be something that we're very excited about, and we'll have our website. We'll have everything ready to rock and roll. And so, where can people find Vizion signs and all that stuff, and so that we can get you connected?
So our social, Instagram, Facebook, basically TikTok, YouTube, we're under Vizion Signs, just at Vizion Signs, but Vizion is spelled Vizion. And then for my personal, I changed up my name from last time we did it, but it's real.t Kraenzel, Kraenzel.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So would love to do any kind of drone work, and then if you guys want to list with us, we'll frickin' throw it out.
We're gonna knock it out of the park for you guys. That's the end goal, and it's with the seller, the buyer, the the client in mind.
Yeah. So stay tuned for our next listing. It's gonna be a game changer. We add some tech to it, so you're gonna love it.
Yep, you guys will see the difference. So, man, I appreciate the time. It's really, really cool to every single time we do this, there's something new.
Yeah.
It isn't this middle class. This is what I talk about in my QF formula, middle class mentality, which it's fine for some people, but we could have a podcast once a year and we'd be talking about the same things.
Yeah.
Last time we had this podcast, the Vizion Brokerage wasn't a thing.
No. Vision wasn't even. We didn't have a vision yet.
No, you had nothing. You had nothing. I had nothing. So it's really cool to see in a 6-month, 12-month period what happens. And there's this this documented record of what we're going to do. You know, it's really cool, man. I appreciate your time. Yes, sir. I appreciate your time and your presence, man, and what you stand for. So everybody connect with him. In the show notes will be everything that you need about Vizion Brokerage, Vizion Signs, and all of our content and everything. So you guys keep up with us, and we will see you guys next week on Next Level Radio. Peace.